All right, so Sammy Thunder, welcome to the channel. It's nice to have you here. I
Thank you.
appreciate your time. You do lots of great card-related content, lots of cool vintage stuff. I love watching your videos where you're going to card shops and card shows, setting up at card shows. And I've actually been watching your channel for a little while. I believe I first subscribed when you were in the 300 to 400 subscriber range. So it's been really cool to kind of watch the channel growth and watch your growth as well. And so the first thing I kind of wanted to touch on is that you're getting close to 1,000 subscribers, kind of how that feels, and if you got any future plans for a channel after that.
I'm kind of just surprising, really. It's cool. I mean, it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to doing a live stream for the 1,000 subscriber mark. And I love doing giveaways. I love giving stuff away. It's a lot of fun. I know it's a lot of fun for everybody else as well. And who doesn't love a live stream? So I'm still working that out as far as what I want to do. I think it's going to be a box break of some sort, but I don't know yet. As far as how it feels, I mean, or as far as what the future holds, I really don't know. It's hard to say. Kind of just, I think, just kind of continue with what I'm doing with shows and just giving those experiences.
For sure. You're definitely doing a really good job. It's been a lot of fun watching your channel kind of progress along the way. And you made it there pretty quick, up to 1,000. So congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was the tipping point, I think, was the national. Going to the national and showing the really just dedicating myself to showing as many tables as possible and providing insight. It's a little nerve-wracking though, because you never know what the dealers are going to feel like. It's always that little awkwardness, but generally, you know, most people have been favorable about me filming, so they don't mind.
Yeah.
To kind of switch it up a little bit, I mean, with your channel in particular, I think a lot of people are very just impressed with the collection you've been able to build up yourself. And actually, it was something that you've been doing inspired me, because you tend to purchase cards for your collection, but you have the gift of not being able to let go.
Yes.
A lot of
Yeah.
people can't do that, including myself. But I'm guessing that's how you fund your hobby, right? You pick up cards, and then you keep the ones you really want to keep, but then you move the ones or trade the ones so that you can reapply it to cards you want to get in your collection. Is that the case?
Yeah. Yeah. So I've got actually kind of my own personal collection. It's much smaller than the stuff that I'll show on the channel for the most part. And lots of stuff that I use on the channel, I kind of have a separate little bit of cards set aside that I kind of keep churning around and kind of building up that money, so then I can put some of it into my own collection. And also kind of as a job, like I wanted to do this full time instead of working somewhere. So that's something I've been working towards, and I've been doing pretty well at building up the balance I've got.
Is your goal ultimately to be a professional dealer?
Yes, that's the goal as of now. So it seems pretty attainable now more than ever. I mean, you got YouTube, you got a bunch of like Twitter and Instagram, and just ways to spread your name around. And I feel like it's pretty achievable now.
How did it all kind of evolve? I mean, there's always a starting point where you have to make a big investment. So where did it start?
Yeah, so my dad and I, we were both doing basically our own separate things, kind of collecting. And we realized we were kind of grabbing various cards from various sets, and they didn't really fit together well. And so what we wanted to do was kind of pile some of the stuff that we could part with, and then go 50-50 as far as like the money and kind of decision making. And so we'll use that stuff to kind of build up some of our money, and then we narrowed down our personal collections to either sets that we're finishing or something like that.
So what does your collection look like these days?
So as of now, mine, I'm working on a set. I'm working on the 1949 Bowman, the Hall of Famers from that set. So I've got some of the lower level guys already. And other than that, I do some St. Louis Cardinals. I have a good amount of Stan Musial cards. So those are probably my two biggest PC things I do. And I got a couple autographs too.
Interesting. So you're not going after commons in the set. You're only focusing on the Hall of Famers.
Correct. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I think that's one of the, I'm not saying it's a mistake, but it definitely is a curse to the wallet.
Yes.
Trying to build sets and doing it where you're not buying a partial set, you're literally building it from scratch. That is the most expensive way to do it. As I think you've talked about on your channel, it's just, especially when you get into the 70s, 1972, 73, you start building like the monster sets. And I'm kind of going in the same direction as you are. I've been building sets for a while, but I've just become more interested in trying to just get Hall of Famers at this point. So when you're out at shows, how much of what you're buying is for resale and how much of it is for your collection?
So that's actually a good question. So nearly all of the stuff I show on my channel is for resale. So that helps, pay for my rent and stuff next year, my car. And so most of the stuff I show on the channel that I buy at card shows is actually for resale. I'll usually mention something if it is for my personal collection. But so you'd probably be surprised if I showed everything that I actually have currently, it's a lot less than the stuff that I've showed overall on my channel.
So that's amazing. That's the thing. I mean, that's the thing that I've always wanted to know about. Because I mean, I've seen Nolan Ryan rookie cards looking sharp. You see all these cards, and I'm wondering, are these cards just being filtered through, or are these PC items? But it sounds like a lot of the cards that you are showing are for sale. Now, I guess the question is, have there been any cards that you've shown on your videos where they are explicitly collection items?
Yeah, there was actually a few that I bought in some channel videos that I kept for myself. One of them was the Stan Musial from the 48-49 Leaf set. That one, I got kind of a big pile of stuff, and I got a pretty good price on it overall. And that is a card. He's one of my favorite players. So that's one I felt like I had to keep, and I kind of arranged a deal. I did pay for it. So that's one of the ones I kept. It was a beautiful SGC one. The front looks amazing. It's got a little bit of writing on the back, but the front is just amazing.
Mm. Do you generally buy raw, or do you buy graded, or both?
I'll do a mix. When it comes to raw cards, it's never super easy to evaluate. I'm sure you know this. You do SGC, PSA submissions and stuff like that. But lots of times you don't get the grade you're hoping, or you just kind of missed something. I prefer graded, but I'll never shy away from raw cards.
Right. I generally like to buy raw cards with the intention of submitting. As you've probably seen from videos, I like buying raw because then I can make an assessment right then and there as far as how much to pay, because based on how much it's going to cost to submit and then the return. But usually anything that I buy, I would say 85-90% of what I buy are collection items, and then there are some items that I'll buy for resale, but it's very rare. Not to say that down the line some of these cards won't get moved, but yeah, it's different mindset for everybody. But I generally like to buy raw and with the intention of grading and seeing if I get close to what I've predicted.
I've seen in some of your videos you got a good amount of kind of binders going with different sets. You got some basketball sets, some baseball sets. So is that what you usually try to do?
For the longest time, I was building. My first set I built was a 65. Then I built the 69. I kind of halted on the 59 set for baseball. Um, those I've just started breaking the 65 and the 69. Been selling them at shows, and had a huge pile of 68 commons, which I've recently sold. 75 set I'm breaking, a 76 set I'm breaking. I mean, that's a bunch of sets that I've built over time. I'm breaking up now because, one thing, the one thing I want to do is, as similar to you, I want to reinvest into, bigger and better cards from like the 50s and earlier. So that's why a lot of the videos recently have been showing some like 56 Koufax and a 56 Ed Matthews and some T206 cards have been coming in. Those are the cards that I'm really after right now. And
Yeah,
then
so
9 basketball.
kind of work your way back a little bit, some older vintage type stuff.
Yeah, I think it's just an endless hole of just selling and buying and reselling, and ultimately, I mean, like there's some cards I have here which eventually I'll probably want to sell because like I have a 54 Maze, which right now is my I love that card because I just love the design of the 54 tops. Is nothing else like it. But at some point, maybe I'll want a 52 Maze, and I'll have to start selling a bunch of these to make it work. But as of right now, there's just certain things I will not touch.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it for sure. For something that I mentioned a little bit earlier, you do a lot of card shop videos. So you kind of go into card shops, talk with the owner, make some deals, and kind of add to your collection that way. So what's kind of like the experience where you live as far as card shops? Where I live, at least, there's only really like 1 or 2 main card shops, and it's not a whole lot of vintage. But I noticed your card shop you went to does have a good amount of vintage stuff there.
Yeah, so Mike is my favorite dealer to buy from. Mike owns Village Baseball Cards in Cromwell Hamlet. Great shop. He has this makes great deals with me every time. Always offers, like if something's marked a certain price, he'll usually offer a little bit off on it to make you happy about the purchase. And then he has the great 2 glass cases of 50% off cards. We're talking low to at best mid-grade if you were to grade them. But if you just want to get a certain card in your collection and you don't want to break the bank doing it, that's the way. Mike's shop, and also a lot of people have commented on the fact that he is a big talker, and you can hear him in the background in most of my videos just talking shop, whether it's like he has like his own personal story of meeting Ted Williams, which I'll save you the story. You can probably hear it in one of the videos.
That's pretty sweet. It's always nice to kind of have someone you can go to. Like if you're looking for a card, have you ever kind of been looking for a specific card and you go to a dealer or a shop owner like him, and he's got basically everything you could want?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you never know. I mean, you go back in a month, they'll have a whole new collection waiting. I generally will visit his shop every 3 weeks to a month. So I try to kind of space it out a little bit. And I've been also checking out shops in the greater New York City area as well, outside of his. So there are some other shops to check out. So not to change the subject from card shops, but I always wanted to know, for every content creator that comes to YouTube that wants to start their channel, I mean, it's such a generic question, but I always want to know what drove you to start your channel.
That's a really good question. So actually, honestly, you were a pretty big inspiration for me starting my channel. So I came across some of your videos. I really liked the stuff that you were doing. It wasn't anything like crazy over the top. Like you had mentioned, you were just being authentic, and that's what people like to see. They like to see someone that they can relate to. Like for your videos, you just go into a card shop and you kind of show the tables. It's a real kind of experience that you can relate with. And that really made me feel like, I can do this. So that gave me a lot of confidence to be able to do it myself.
That's awesome, man. I'm really honored that you said that. It's hard for me to kind of imagine kind of being an inspiration in that sense. Uh, just because, I mean, I think we all kind of look at creating a channel as a way to kind of share our passion for it. And it's hard to imagine being able to see yourself as an inspiration for others because you're just doing what everyone else is doing, which is sharing your passion. But
Yeah.
that's awesome, man, and I really appreciate that. Um, it's one thing I will say is that there's so few people younger than, like, 25 that are doing the vintage stuff. You go to card shows. I can, as I mean, this because you're getting into you're a dealer game, and I'm an amateur dealer. I don't look to it as a money making opportunity, but when I go to shows and I'm setting up, a lot of the vendors are, like older guys that have been around the hobby for quite some time and have garnered collections. So I think it says a lot for you to focus your attention on vintage and stray away from the modern stuff, because it feels like the modern stuff is definitely for the younger audience. But what's your take on that? I mean, I don't know if you have friends that collect as well that are around your age, but I'm sure you notice as the younger crowd is generally into modern. So what's your take, and how did you not get swept into that?
Yeah, funny story, because actually I did a little bit. So kind of when everything went super crazy there in 2020, 2021, that's when I first gotten into it. And my dad kept saying, vintage baseball, that's the way to go, because that's what he had always done. And I was kind of like, I don't know. I kind of like soccer, kind of like, some of these modern guys also in basketball, like Allen Iverson, stuff like that. And I still have lots of those cars. It's not like I really care, but value wise, they got crushed, which I'm just keeping them. I don't really care, but value wise, they kind of got crushed. So that's part of the thing that led me to vintage baseball. And you can really appreciate the history for it that way.
Well, definitely. I mean, I've watched a number of your videos, and when you present yourself in a humble way, which is important. In my opinion, you want to be, at least. I mean, I've always kind of thought that when you're entering into an area, into a field of a certain hobby, you always want to go in with a humble attitude and not try to make yourself sound like some sort of expert. And because really, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just about having fun with it and showing that in your videos. And that's always been my thought is, what are things that I would want to see that I think are a lot of fun. And I think for me personally, going to seeing what shows are like, seeing what the tables look like, seeing what purchases have been made, finding out, predicting what the grade is going to be on a certain card when you send it in for submitting, um, going through a box that you found at a flea market over like a live stream or a video, and going through it and seeing what gems you can find. Always a lot of fun.
Yes, for sure. That was kind of one of the things when I started my channel. You mentioned about not exactly being an expert. That was one of the things I was a little concerned about. I was like, I'm 19, who's really gonna, listen to a 19-year-old? And I also never claimed to be an expert or anything like that. I just kind of do my own thing. But I was just kind of sitting there with my dad, and I was like, would you click on a video if it said 19-year-old buys vintage baseball cards? And he's like, yeah, I would. So I was like,
That,
there you go. And so I
that
uploaded my
alone,
first video and got me
that
going.
title alone will, yeah, people will think 19-year-old, huh? This I have to see. I'm curious, what sort of things this 19-year-old is going to bring to the table and what sort of thoughts he has on it. And clearly, I mean, your channel has grown really nicely. I don't know how many you're at. You're close to 300. Are you at
Yeah,
300?
I'm just almost at 300. I think I'm at like 297 or something at the moment.
That's awesome, man. I mean, it's a lot of fun. Uh, I would love. I mean, I know you. I mean, you go to a lot of shows. And so I know have you done, I think you've done a video where you've shown, like, you recorded the show, haven't you? Or was it?
Yeah, I did some of that. Lots of times, like if it is a smaller show, um, I don't get as many videos of the table. Sometimes I just kind of going around the show and just kind of forget. So I definitely need to kind of get better at stopping for videos in every one, but it's a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to put into words sometimes, but yeah, it's a good community, really good community of people. And have you gone to the national yet?
That was something I actually wanted to ask you about. So I didn't go this year. I went the past year in Chicago when everything was going pretty crazy. So I went to that one, but I did want to ask you about your experience at this year's national.
Yeah,
One thing I did want to actually ask you is with that, since you do baseball and basketball, I don't know if you had ever been to a national before, but when I went, it was just complete overload. And I was just kind of looking for one sport. So I can't imagine, kind of looking at baseball and basketball. That's got to be pretty overwhelming.
yeah. I went this year's national, and that was my first time going because it was close by New Jersey. And I think the most important thing to do, there's a couple of things to keep in mind when you go there. One is to create a list of cards you want and a certain budget. Sorry, the key, and you definitely don't want to go over that budget unless you find something you can't refuse. You go with the budget, you go with the list of cards you want. So you create structure for yourself. And then there's the other things. You bring a backpack, you bring a little box to hold the cards you purchase, water, and comfortable shoes. That's important. Those two last things are incredibly important.
Yeah. Yeah. Walking around the show floor for 6 hours definitely hurts your feet.
Yeah. Yeah. I probably spent, I don't know, maybe not as long as that, maybe 3-4 hours I walked around. And for me, that was enough. I only went for one day, so because it was kind of in the middle of vacation, and so I went for that one day, and it was cool because it was like a little meetup with the content creators. So I got a chance to see how everybody, I got a chance to see everybody be in front of a camera or behind a camera, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But it was kind of cool seeing everybody there and meeting everybody, and so the experience I thought was pretty positive. I probably wouldn't do more than a day though, honestly. I'd probably just spend one day, get hopefully what I'm looking for, and move on from there.
I think the next national is in either Cleveland or Chicago, I think.
Chicago, so that should be good for you, right?
Okay, yeah. Yeah. So I'm in Indiana. So it's like
Yeah.
3 hours or so, but I mean it's worth it for the national.
Yeah, you can definitely drive there and not have to worry about taking a plane.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would
So when you went to the national actually this year, you mentioned kind of having like a short list of stuff. Did you kind of take a short list and stick to that, or did you kind of have, this is the big card I want to get, and then kind of a little bit of the money for kind of whatever catches your eye?
Yeah, so that's exactly how I went about it. I knew the card that I really wanted was a Tom Seaver rookie card, and that was the big one. I came away with the Tom Seaver rookie and a Nolan Ryan rookie card. That made up the bulk of the budget. If I remember right, as far as what I purchased the Seaver rookie, the Nolan Ryan rookie, the Don Drysdale rookie card I picked up there, Oscar Robertson 69 card. So I guess you can say that was his second year card technically. Gail Goodrich rookie card. So kind of a mix of basketball and baseball, and there were some other ones in there. Bob Gibson 71, I think, was in there as well. So
That's awesome. I think I see the little Seaver there in the background, kind of behind your shoulder back there.
Right down here. Yeah. I probably paid more than I should have for that, but not too bad. The problem with the Seavers, as you probably know, is that the card it's a high number card. and you multiply that with Seaver, being Seaver, you have yourself an expensive card, because the 67s are just high number cards are tough and more expensive than you expect, than other years actually. So the Seaver took me, they had one listed for like 1100, and I talked them down to 975, and ultimately got it for that price. I'm okay with it. I mean, it was my big purchase from the National, and so you got to make at least one big one if that is your intention.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's an awesome card. So no bad time to buy a Seaver rookie.
No, no.
All right, I got just a couple more things kind of here on the list.
Yeah.
What were you saying? Sorry.
No, I just noticed that the time is for the Zoom is starting to cut down.
Yeah, I think there's like I don't know if there's a time limit for the free version or something, but I'll try to get through these pretty quick. So
no problem.
you had mentioned you have made a couple of videos kind of setting up at card shows. What's that been like? I noticed you had lots of full sets, you have partial sets, you got kind of Hall of Famers in the case. Has that been a lot of fun?
Yeah, no, I've had to. I'm always reevaluating how much the cards are how much I'm charging for. So I notice at shows, dealers will hike prices up. I'm trying to stay away from that, considering that I'm not trying to make money off it. I'm just trying to reinvest it. So I try to keep it as fair as possible, or keep it fair with the eBay, based on eBay prices. And so I usually go by that. And generally speaking, it's been very successful because people will gravitate more towards honest prices and not hiked prices.
Something else you mentioned in one of your last videos was kind of had to do with prices and setting fair prices. Facebook collections, you said you were about to get something from either Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, and you said you had been searching for stuff on there. Is there kind of a good amount of stuff in your area? It's a little dry kind of living in the Midwest on Facebook, but how is it for you?
It's pretty dry as well. I think, but I think a lot of it is based on the fact that there's competitors, and competitors will pay premium prices. So you'll have vintage collections that people have that they're charging like $5,000-$6,000, which depending on who's in that collection, if it's fair, it's fair. If it's not, then people will pass on it. But yeah, it's more competitive here in New York City area than probably in other areas.
Yeah, I would assume there's probably a lot of kind of big money, big dealers ready to buy in that area.
I think so. That's generally been the case, at least in the past 6 months. It seems that way. So.
All right, final question for you.
Yeah.
This one isn't really that deep. Any kind of big PC cards on the way for you? Anything you're looking to get soon or next step?
Tomorrow, I'm going to be getting something in the mail. It's a Holy Grail card that I've been waiting for a long time to purchase. I finally purchased it. I will show it tomorrow.
Ooh, sweet.
Yes.
So if you're watching this, you got something to look forward to on Sammy's channel.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. I think with that being said, do you have anything else you wanted to kind of mention, or see the time's running out on us here on Zoom?
No, I'm good, man. I just, I'm going to go ahead and I'll start making announcements towards the 1,000 subscriber giveaway. And I appreciate everybody that has subscribed to the channel and has been engaging with it. And, I'm definitely excited about what's to come. Definitely interested in what you got, Garrett, what you have going on as well, Garrett. I look forward to those card shows. You pick up some big items. I kind of like I'm always leaning towards purchasing from you, so I might consider doing that for some of the things you've got.
For sure, yeah. If you kind of are looking for anything, just kind of shoot me a text. I can send you my number or something, and
Absolutely.
It'd be a lot of fun to kind of arrange something like that.
I appreciate that, man. That sounds like a good deal.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank you again for kind of coming out tonight. Congratulate you again on your 1,000 subs.
Yeah, man, thank you. It was good back and forth conversation. We learned a little bit more about you as well, which is awesome.
It was great to get to talk to you for a little bit, Sammy.
You too, man.
And I hope you have a good rest of your night. I'll see you sometime soon, my man.
All right. Take it easy.
You too.
Yep.